Metro Detroit Police and Fire, Pipes and Drums, and also the Shelby Township Police Department Honor Guard. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point, we're going to do our civilian awards. So we started a tradition last year. Deputy Chief Coyle will be presenting and reading all the civilian awards. At this point, I'd like to introduce Deputy Chief Mark Coyle. He's a senior member of our police department.
On behalf of both Chief Schlide and myself, I say thank you for coming tonight. It's an honor to be here. Really, I deserve no credit. It's his vision. It's his idea, and we just helped this craziness come to fruition. That's about it. What I want to do is I want to talk a little bit about all of us in uniform. For some of us, for me, it was 28 years ago when I raised my hand for the first time and said, I do solemnly swear. I took an oath to wear this uniform, and I do every day with great pride. I have no other conscious recollection of wanting to do anything other than be a police officer. The men and women that we'll honor tonight, they will receive those awards because much the same as they took an oath to protect and serve their community, this community. Well, I have the honor and distinction to address those people that didn't take an oath. They're just average citizens, and we're blessed to call them ours. They live in our community or service our community, and when trouble was there, they stepped up. So, like I said, it is true honor and privilege to recognize those that are just doing their job being citizens, and what makes Shelby Township a unique place to live. It's far different than any other place on the planet. There's this hometown feel, and with the support of our community, our board, and the great police officers, we keep it safe. So without further ado, I'd like to give our first award to Miss Kendall Walters. So Miss Kendall Walters, if you just stand right there so everyone knows, and I have to put my eye bubbles on because I can't see and I'm old. I'll tell you a little bit about this extraordinary young lady. On September 30th, 2017, Miss Kendall Walters, who was attending a Lions Club youth football celebration at Mr. B's, was outside the restaurant with some kids tossing around a football in an alleyway. A disorderly person exited the restaurant and began harassing the children, asking for their names and phone numbers, and then began chasing them. At one point, the man picked up one of the kids to prevent him from re-entering the business. Kendall became extremely concerned and was able to make her way back into the restaurant to notify the parents. Police officers were called to the scene and made an arrest of this subject. Ms. Walters showed strength and courage in her action to notify the adults that kids were in need of help. For this, Kendall Walters is presented with the Civilian Award. Kendall, come on up. Our second award goes to a group of individuals. On July 26, 2017, 10-year-old Samantha, 8-year-old Benjamin, and 11-year-old Travis Madonna were at their grandmother Donna's house swimming in their backyard pool. First off, where are the Donnas? If you would, please all stand up so everyone can see where you're at. Samantha noticed that Benjamin had gone underwater into the bottom of the pool and appeared not to be moving. She yelled to her grandmother, who was sitting on the adjacent patio. Travis dove down to the bottom of the pool, grabbed Benjamin, and pulled him to the surface. He was able to get him over to the side of the pool. Samantha alerted her grandmother that Benjamin was not breathing and was turning blue. Donna immediately began performing CPR while 911 was being called. Benjamin then started breathing and coughing up water. Upon the arrival of the first responders, Benjamin was conscious and alert. Due to their quick actions, Samantha, Travis, and Donna are being presented with the Civilian Hero Award. It is my great pleasure to honor you all with the Civilian Hero Award. Please come up.
When I call the officers' names, if you're in attendance, please come up on the stage with us. Officers Joseph Stuglin, Scott Simpson, Robert Van Dyke, Timothy Schaffnitz, Brandon Dowdy, Jacob Lucas, James Melchesky, and Charles Johnson. Please come up. On April 30th, 2017, at approximately 9:10 p.m., officers were dispatched to Hungry Howie's on Shaner on an armed robbery. The store manager stated that an individual wearing a ski mask had just come into the store and demanded money from the safe. A weapon was seen but not implied. A weapon was not seen but was implied. The owner of the business confirmed the amount of cash that was in the safe ready for deposit at the bank. The suspect had fled on foot through the parking lot. All officers responded to the location and checked out the surrounding area, finding a hat and mask with an Air Jordan symbol that matched the suspects. An on-duty Oakland County canine, Harvey Wilson, arrived to conduct a track of the suspect, noting that the grass was very wet and high when they were tracking. The track was terminated inside the Shelby West Manufactured Home Park. At this point, Officer Stuglin recalled a recent arrest he made of an individual who lived in the area where the track ended. The man matched the description of the suspect, right down to the wearing of Air Jordan attire. At the time of the arrest, the man indicated that the arrest was going to break him financially, and he was very distraught. Officers went to the suspect's home and were met there by the owner and mother of the suspect. She allowed the officers inside, where they noticed items of clothing on the floor that matched the robber's description: wet pants, wet boots with grass on them. Detectives Simpson, Melchesky, and Johnson obtained a search warrant. The detectives, along with Officer Stuglin and Evidence Tech Officer Brandon Dowdy, conducted the search. Found at the scene was the bank deposit slips and the exact amount of money stolen from the pizzeria. The suspect was taken to the station, where he was interviewed and confessed to the crime. For his actions, Officer Joseph Stuglin is presented with a commendation award. In addition to Officer Stuglin's efforts, those of the following officers were instrumental in the quick solving of this crime, and a unit letter of commendation is awarded to Officers Timothy Schaffnitz, Robert Van Dyke, Brandon Dowdy, Jacob Lucas, Detective Scott Simpson, James Melchesky, and Charles Johnson. Congratulations, man. This is a letter of commendation presented to Detective Charles Johnson. Here he comes over here. You'll see Charles later tonight also. During the month of March through August of 2017, Detective Johnson investigated 2 incidences in which elderly township residents were victimized of embezzlement by a local investment consultant. Detective Johnson was relentless in his investigative techniques and was able to gain a confession. Recovery of funds is still being pursued. Detective Johnson shared his information with other area departments and discovered that the subject had embezzled over $2 million from his clients, all of them elderly. Detective Johnson was able to secure arrest warrants for the prosecution of the subject. Detective Charles Johnson showed initiative and exceptional performance of duty while investigating the above-mentioned embezzlements and is awarded a letter of commendation. Congratulations. Okay, when I call your name, please come up if you're here. Officers Jason Hansen, Officers Albert O'Neill, Scott Phelps, Dennis Washburn, and Mark Benedettini. Please come up. On January 28th, 2017, Officers Hansen, O'Neill, Phelps, Washburn, and Benedettini were dispatched to a local motel regarding customer trouble. Upon arrival, they were advised by the motel clerk that a person had checked in a few days earlier but had not checked out that morning as scheduled. When the clerk attempted to check the room, he found that it had been barricaded shut. Thus, he summoned the police. The officers attempted to make verbal contact with the room's occupant to no avail. The barricades were still in place. However, officers were able to breach the door and gain entry. They saw a man in the dark bathroom who refused to comply with their commands to exit the bathroom. A few minutes later, the man slowly walked out of the bathroom. They coordinated their actions and were able to take the man into custody unharmed. It was then discovered that the man had been attempting suicide. While providing critical first aid, they noticed that the man was lethargic and incoherent, which resulted in the fire department being called to the scene for transportation to a local hospital for evaluation and treatment. For their coordinated efforts, Officers Hansen, O'Neill, Phelps, Washburn, and Benedettini are presented with a unit letter of commendation. Congratulations. Deputy Chief Mark Coyle, Sergeant Jeff Walsh, Officers Andrew Gamicia, Officers Jason Hansen, Officer Scott Phelps, Officer Thomas Demerit, Officer James Nobledorf, and Communication Technicians Richard Janess and Gabriel Martinez. On October 11th, 2017, officers were dispatched to Shelby West Manufactured Home Park on a welfare check of a suicidal male. Officer Gamicia arrived on the scene, and after interviewing the subject's mother, it was determined that he had fled on foot. Officers Gamicia alerted Comtech Janess and Martinez. Responding officers Hansen, Phelps, Demerit, and Noblesdorf, along with Sergeant Walsh and Deputy Chief Coyle, patrolled the mobile home park. Officer Gamicia continued to relay important information, including the fact that the subject may be armed with a box cutter and a handgun. Sergeant Walsh, Deputy Chief Coyle, and Officer Phelps located the subject between two homes. Sergeant Walsh exited his vehicle and approached the subject, who had his hands in his pockets. Sergeant Walsh gave several commands to the subject to stop walking and take his hands out of his pocket. At that point, the subject took off and jumped the fence between Lombardo Park and Shelby West, heading towards Officer Noblesdorf. Officer Noblesdorf was able to tackle the subject. Deputy Chief Coyle, Sergeant Walsh, and Officer Phelps and Demerit assisted in taking control of the subject, not knowing if the subject was armed. After a brief struggle, the subject was taken into custody and transported to the hospital. The above command and patrol officers, along with the communications technicians, responded exceptionally well to a high-stress situation involving a suicidal subject who may have been armed. Through their bravery, communication, diligence, and above all, teamwork, they were able to resolve a life-threatening situation. For this, they are awarded the unit letter of commendation. Congratulations. While Deputy Chief Coyle is getting the next award already, I just want to tell you how our award system works in case anyone is wondering. Deputy Chief Coyle and I have nothing to do with the awards that are presented here tonight. We have an awards committee, and the awards committee is made up of members of our department, and they analyze all of our actions, and they determine who gets what awards. So I just want to make sure everyone understands that. Deputy Chief Coyle and I aren't sitting here giving him an award. I want to make sure you know that. He was selected by, well, I think it's important to identify that, because why wouldn't I give him an award, if that makes any sense? You know what I mean? I work with him every day, of course, but the bottom line is I had nothing to do with it, neither did he, so I just want to make sure I address that with everyone. Thank you. Okay, the next award is for our training unit. I told you at the beginning of the night, you'll hear more about them later. Deputy Chief Mark Coyle, Lieutenant William Wiley, Lieutenant Bob Trupiano, Lieutenant Pat Barnard, and then Sergeants Matt Stakowitz, Matt McLean, Officers Rob Heisler, Scott Simpson, Paul Fox, and Derek Stansberry. Please come up. Let me just talk off the record for a minute. I want to tell you that since I took over here 39 months ago, I attend training regularly. We train quarterly, okay, 4 times a year. And I think I missed 2 sessions because in the 39 months, if something happened administratively, I couldn't be there. But I have never been more impressed with anybody or anything than our training unit. And these guys mean business, I can tell you that right now. It's not easy to get a bunch of salty old police officers and tell them how to do their job better, and these guys do a tremendous job, I can tell you that right now. And everything we've asked them to do, they've done way above and beyond. And we had a vision last year for a major, large-scale training exercise. what the scholars, and I mean the pro-police scholars, have discovered and learned that shooting at paper targets is good for some things, but we're spending way too much time doing that. We need more use of force decision making. So the vision was that we would put all the officers under stress inoculation, put them into situations and make them go out there and perform their job, but they'd be graded by the training staff, and then not graded with a piece of paper, but corrected and coached and made sure they do everything right. So we went over to the Crest facility in Oakland County. We were over there for several days. Every single member of the department went through this, and you go through real life, I shouldn't say real life, I don't know how to word this, simulated situations. And for instance, they say, okay, go to this house, and there's a domestic violence in progress, and the man is armed. And you have to go in with your training gear on, and guys around in red, you know who the training officers are, and you have to go in and perform. Let me tell you, it might sound easy, but it's not. And you know that your people you work with are watching you and make sure you're doing everything right. And the thing was a major success. We identified many different areas where we needed to improve the training. I got corrected on 2 or 3 things. I was involved in a friendly fire situation. So we went into this situation where there was an active killer in there shooting people, and we had 2 different teams of officers, and we shot each other, okay? Obviously with fake bullets, okay, or whatever, but think about that. The chief of police was involved in a friendly fire situation, so you think I had a lot to learn there? Absolutely. And the tact that these men behind me show, and hey, come on over here, here's what you did wrong, was incredible. So I have a tremendous amount of respect for them. So let me get to the actual award. I probably told you most of the story before I read the stuff on paper. In the late spring, early summer of 2017, the department's firearms training unit completed a 2-day simulations and active shooter training session. The training was meticulously planned and executed with real-life practical experiences used to train the officers of the police department. Deputy Chief Mark Coyle, along with the firearms training unit, spent numerous hours planning and refining this training. As a result, the training was executed without any injuries or safety issues presented department-wide. For their thorough and coordinated efforts, Deputy Chief Coyle, Lieutenant Wiley, Lieutenant Trupiano, Lieutenant Barnard, Sergeant Stakowitz, Sergeant McLean, Officers Heisler, Simpson, Fox, and Stanberry are awarded a unit letter of commendation. Congratulations, men. This is the shift that's on duty right now. Thank you for saying that. Carol, I think Carol told me that. So, yes, this is the shift. They're all on duty right now, and I apologize that they're not here. All right, we got one. In June of 2017, officers of C Platoon responded to 2 barricaded situations within 20 hours of each other. The first involved a male with a shotgun barricaded in his home on Ansbury Drive with his mother inside. The officers coordinated their response and established a perimeter to effectively contain the man and notify the surrounding neighbors. After 2.5 hours, the gunman was convinced to exit the residence and surrender peacefully to the officers. The second situation involved a male with knives barricaded in his home of his parents in the Roma Valley apartment complex. No other individuals were in the home at the time. Officers surrounded the building to contain the subject and evaluated the surrounding apartments. The man continued to threaten, stating he would burn the building down. After 2 hours, the subject was convinced to exit the residence and surrender peacefully to the officers. As a result, the officers and Comtech's combined efforts, no officers or citizens were hurt and no use of force took place. For their thorough and coordinated efforts, Sergeant Taylor and Stakowitz, Detectives Lehman and Treworgy, Officers Heisler, Wathen, Armstrong, Messing, Young, Zook, Fedig, and Comtech's Armstrong, Hobbs, and Fredinger are awarded a unit letter of commendation. Congratulations and well done. Last year, obviously this was the first year we had an awards banquet. We put in a employee recognition plan, and when you have either 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, or 30 years of service, you got a special coin. And the coin, I don't know what they cost, a couple dollars or something like that. They're peanuts, but they're beautifully designed, and they tell you your years of service, and it has our police department on there. Patty Koenig designed the coins, did a great job with them, and I can tell you something, they're extremely popular, and people like to be recognized, the employees, and years of service is very important, okay? So last year, Deputy Chief Coyle did this part of the presentation. I'm going to turn it back over to him again. DC?
So last year when the chief asked me what could we do to recognize the hard work of all the people that come here? Because let's face it, adorning this uniform, being in law enforcement isn't an easy task. Whether you're sitting behind a desk as a comm-tech or dispatcher, you're working the street, or for some of the civilians that have to deal with the two of us, it's a war zone. It truly is. And we'll get to that at the end. So for that, we wanted to honor those people that came to work every day. Just coming to work is a task. It's not an easy task. This profession isn't for everyone. It takes a special breed of individual that wants to do this, and for that we honor these members. Those officers that have reached their 10-year mark of service, who come to work every day and diligently do their job, carry out their functions with bravery, honesty, and integrity. Brandon Dowdy, Adam Jensen, and Charles Johnson, please come up and get your 10-year award. For the officer who has been awarded their 15th year, Officer Denny Washburn, please come up. The following officers will receive their 20-year award. Lieutenant Pat Barnard, Sergeant Jeff Walsh, Officers Rob Heisler, Jim Osterlin, and Detective Dave Jackman. Those present, please come up and get your award. The last two awards are pretty special to me personally. I know that most of you don't realize this, but I've been here longer than anybody, with the exception of one person. We'll get to her in a minute. Prior to that, though, it's a great honor and privilege of mine to give this award to not only probably one of the hardest working, most dedicated, most talented investigator police officers that I know, that I've had the honor and privilege to work side by side with. Lieutenant Jason Schmittler is a consummate professional. He is truly an asset to our community, an asset to this police department, and as I said, probably one of the greatest cops I've ever had the privilege to work with. So without further ado, Lieutenant Schmittler, my friend. For those of you who are wondering, that's his son. For those of you who don't know, he has two sons over there as well. One's 25 and one is 23. I said he was the greatest investigator in the world. I didn't say he was bright. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. God bless you. And for our final award, the person that's been here the longest. She is truly an amazing individual. She definitely makes the chief and my job very, very easy. Honestly, there are many a days he is 100% right. You better bring your track shoes, because I subscribe to the managerial plan of let's crawl, walk, run. My boss is Usain Bolt. I mean, he doesn't stop. It is on all day, and this lady for 30 years, for every chief with the exception of Chief Smith, correct? She has worked for every single one of them, keeping every single one of us on task, focused. It is my great pleasure and honor to award her with her 30-year service pin or award. Patty Koenig. So this one's a little bit unique because we have members of our own department as well as a civilian that is going to be honored. So I'll handle both of these, and then I'll turn it over to the chief. Civilian Marissa Vasquez, is she here? Come on up. Sergeant Troy Tichnell and Officer Paul Fox, please come up. On February 14, 2017, the Shelby Township Police and Fire Departments were dispatched to Iroquois Lake on a call that had a child fallen through the ice. First on scene was Sergeant Troy Tichnell from the Traffic Service Bureau. Sergeant Tichnell found the teen had broken through the ice in the middle of the lake. Scanning the area, he found that there were no boats near the water that he could use to rescue the boy. Sergeant Tichnell immediately began shedding his police equipment to venture onto the ice. Meanwhile, a neighbor, Mrs. Marissa Vasquez, grabbed a life ring. However, she noticed there was not enough rope to attach to make a successful rescue. She hurriedly tied a 15 to 20 foot rope onto the ring and got it over to Sergeant Tichnell, who began to walk out onto the ice. As Sergeant Tichnell got close enough to throw the boy the ring, Officer Fox arrived on shore. Officer Fox, also a member of our Traffic Safety Bureau, began shedding his police equipment and entered onto the ice, where he was able to grab the end of the rope that was attached to the life ring. While pulling the teen to safety, the ice broke further, and Sergeant Tichnell was now in the water up to his chest and Officer Fox mid-calf. While Officer Fox pulled the rope and Sergeant Tichnell supported the boy out of the water, the officers were able to get this teen to shore. Hypothermia had already set in, and the boy was unable to move his extremities and was visibly traumatized. Once on shore, the officers realized a second boy had fallen in, but was on shore prior to officers' arrival. The fire department arrived, they treated the boys, and transported them to the hospital for treatment. Ms. Vasquez's keen observation of the rope, her quick thinking, and her actions were instrumental in the success and rescue of this boy. For her actions, she is being awarded the Civilian Hero Award. Sergeant Tichnell and Officer Fox put their own safety aside in order to save a young life. These two officers are presented with the department's Life-Saving First Degree Award. Congratulations.
Do you have any idea what a special person it takes to jump into a lake in the middle of February? Incredible. Thank you. That's all I can say is thank you.
These are not in attendance, but we're
Yeah.
going to read them.
We have an award. The officers are working again, so we're going to read it real quickly. Actually, not quickly. I'll read it out as normal. Officers Robert Heisler, Officers Robert Wathen, and Officer Robert Verpraskis. On May 8, 2017, at approximately 5 a.m., Officers Heisler, Wathen, and Verpraskis responded to a CrossFit gym on a man not breathing cardiac arrest call. Officers Heisler, Wathen took over performing CPR, maintaining an airway, while Officer Verpraskis located and deployed the AED. After shocking the subject 2 times, the man began to breathe, struggling for air for several minutes. Officers continued to monitor his pulse and shallow breathing until Rochester EMS arrived and took over. Without the quick response and actions of Officer Heisler, Wathen, and Verpraskis, the 50-year-old victim would not have survived. For their life-saving actions, Officer Heisler, Wathen, and Verpraskis are presented with a life-saving citation, 2nd degree. Congratulations, men. We hired a 50-year-old man last year as a rookie, okay? And the HR director called me and she said, "Bob, what are you doing?" And it just so happened that he'd been a former chief of police and then a deputy chief in Roseville, and he wanted to get hired here as a line officer. So I called up his best buddy, Jason Schmittler, who was on the stage a little while ago, and I said, "What the hell is Nobby doing? Okay, why is he trying to get hired here as a police officer?" And Jason said, "Look, he wants to serve the community. He's a great guy. He's very intelligent." And I was like, "What am I going to do here?" And bottom line is, I have an interview panel, and here's how we handle this with the interview panel. Each member of my interview panel has to agree to hire the person. And if any one of us says no, then the person is done. That's how we do it, okay? You learn from experience. And just so happens that the interview panel, they all wanted to hire him. And I thought to myself, who am I to stop this man from coming here? His resume looks better than mine. Well, the bottom line is we brought him in a little over a year ago, and from what I hear, he's doing a fantastic job for us. He's got the respect of all the command officers and most of the police officers, especially the ones he's, well, let's put it like this, the ones he's not feuding with. Does that make any sense or not? Probably not. Anyways, he's on the road right now. I wish you would have been here so you can meet him. He's truly an extraordinary individual. On July 10th, 2017, Officer Noblesdorf was dispatched to a Bluebird Drive for an unresponsive male. Upon arrival, Officer Noblesdorf was unable to get a response or locate a pulse on the man and immediately began CPR, performing rescue breathing and chest compressions. After arrival, with the assistance of fire department personnel, Officer Noblesdorf continued CPR until a pulse was detected. The man was then transported to the hospital for further treatment. The quick actions of this officer undoubtedly saved the man's life. For his actions, Officer James Noblesdorf is being awarded a life-saving citation, 2nd degree. Congratulations, Nabi, wherever you are. So, bottom line is, recognizing and appreciating our employees, to me, and you could ask the people around me, my immediate staff, this is the most important thing that we can do as far as administrative staff goes. Acknowledging your sacrifice, your professionalism, your skills and knowledge, it's very important to me. So when we got in the door and we got up and running and had DC Coyle put his track shoes on, first thing we did is we're going to recognize the people around here properly. So we have their photos taken. We hang them in the lobby. We have a plaque with their name and the year they won the award, and that will be up there for posterity's sake for the next, hopefully, 50, 100 years, however long this police department is going to be around here, okay? We give them their own parking spot. We do some other stuff, too. I just can't, I'm drawing a blank right now. But let me tell you how these people are chosen, okay? We ask for nominations from the department, so no one can get, you can't get this award unless somebody in the department nominates you. That could be one of your peers, that could be a commander, that could be anybody other than DC Coyle and I. We're not going to handle the write-up, if that makes any sense. So we get all the write-ups. Patty gets the black wood going in the chimney. DC Coyle and I lock ourselves in the office, and we send out the black smoke, and we sit in there until we decide who's getting these awards. And I tell you, I wish everyone, especially my staff, could hear how we do this. It has nothing to do with personality. It doesn't matter if we like you or don't like you, or you perceive we like you or don't. It means nothing, I can tell you right now. What have you done? What benefit have you added to our, and value have you done for our police department? Now, that's all that matters, okay? And I'm proud. And I'll get torn over something. It's like, do we really want to give, no, I'm not talking about these specific awards, but I ask the question, do we really want to give this person an award? Yeah, we have to, you say, blah, blah, blah. So I just want to point that out, that we take this very seriously, extremely seriously, and I'm very proud of these awards and the recipients. Our first award is going to our ComTech communications technician, basically our dispatchers, who do a fantastic job for us. Carol Smith, come on up. When I called Carol on the phone, Carol's a little feisty, okay? Carol's a little feisty, and I called and left a message. And hi, Carol, come on up. Carol, this is Bob Shalide. Yeah? How you doing? I'm good. What's going on? Well, Carol, I want to tell you that you were selected as the Civilian Employee of the Year. And then silence. Carol, are you there? Carol, hello? Oh, yeah, I'm here. Yeah, thank you so much. Blah blah. So I think Carol had that moment of understood that we appreciate what she does, and I'm proud. I'm happy for her. I'll tell you that right now. She's a wonderful person. Last year, I was lucky enough to bring my children along. Carol Smith and Bonnie Bowman, another retired dispatcher, do this incredible thing every year at Christmas time. And they go out and they buy Christmas presents and gifts for the elderly. And they spend their entire November and December buying these beautiful gifts. And I'm not talking about like toys or anything. I'm talking about necessities, blankets, boxes of food, socks, stuff like that. And they wrap them all up, and they get a day, they get a bus, and they go around, they deliver them to seniors in the community. And you're talking about the brains and the hard work of the outfit right here, as Carol says. Is Bonnie here tonight by any chance, Bonnie Bowman? Okay. And my children was able to experience for the first time the act of kindness of someone's heart. And they saw it in Carol Smith and Bonnie Bowman, something I'll never forget. And then also, anytime that we have anything we need to volunteer for anything, guess who raises their hand? Carol, no matter what it is. She doesn't want to be overtime. She doesn't want to be compensated. She's truly a wonderful person, and I'm proud to work with you, Carol. I want you to know that right now. As a member of our ComTech unit, Carol Smith is one of the most knowledgeable and committed dispatchers. Along with performing her duties to the utmost degree, she is notorious for her volunteerism. Carol is always willing to volunteer for various fundraisers and department functions. She was always at our Shop with a Cop event, wrapping gifts for misfortunate children. In addition, she co-spearheads the preparation and delivery of Christmas baskets for needy senior citizens in our township, along with filling the snack cart, the proceeds of which support local charities. Always giving, Carol Smith takes pride in her profession, and an organization is being named 2017 Non-Sworn Employee of the Year. Congratulations, Carol. I'd be lying to you if I told you that Joe Wojcik wasn't one of my favorite officers on this department, one of the favorite people I've ever met. I'd be telling you a lie. I had the luxury. Joe, I didn't call you up yet. Okay, you can wait over there. Truly a blessing to our township. Joe, come on up here. I was teasing you. Mr. and Mrs. Wojcik.
Good, thank you.
Officer Wojcik is K-9 Morpheus's handler. And talk about a rock of a man, Officer Wojcik, just an incredible person, incredible police officer. He has the respect of every man and woman in our police department. There's a rule, some about cops I want to teach everybody in here that most people don't know. Guess what? If you're a good cop, everybody respects you. I don't care if they don't like you. I don't care what they think about you. They can call you everything in the book. But if you're a good cop, you have the respect of every man and woman in the police department. I've been doing this job for 31 years now, and I've never seen a good cop that wasn't respected. And I can tell you what, everybody respects Joe Wojcik, okay? And just amazing police officer. He's dedicated to our township. He's dedicated to our citizens. I could tell you a few stories about Joe. He's off duty, okay, coming back from court after working 20 hours, and he hears a call come out of a man not breathing, having a heart attack basically in the driveway. Joe races over there. He's off duty, gets out, and turns out the guy, I think he was a retired state police officer, and the mom was there crying and waving her rag, please help me. Joe does CPR on the guy, gets him breathing again, and then the guy's back at the hospital, and he's 100% okay. And then I got a letter from the mom, or the wife, thanking me. And this is a small, who would stop to go to a medical run when they're off duty after working 20 hours? Not many people, I can tell you that right now. So Joe's an amazing individual, and I'm proud to work with him, I can tell you that right now. As a member of the K-9 unit, Officer Wojcik has proved to be a valuable asset to our department and many surrounding departments in our area. Officer Wojcik performs his duties at an extremely high level and is the embodiment of professionalism, teamwork, preparedness, and pride. During 2017, he tracked and located a suspect OUID, that's a person who's operating under the influence of drugs, who fled the scene of an accident during a heavy downpour. He also tracked a suicidal person who had thrown himself out of an oncoming vehicle onto oncoming traffic and was struck by a vehicle. On another occasion, Officer Wojcik was on his way home when he helped a woman not in our township who was struck in the snow. The woman was so impressed and thankful that she sent an email to myself. It says Chief Schlide, but I'm just letting you know what it says, expressing her gratitude. These are just a small example of Officer Wojcik's outstanding actions on a daily basis. As a member of the K-9 unit, Officer Wojcik is also called upon by surrounding departments to assist them in tracking suspects. Officer Wojcik is a consummate team player who puts the department and others' needs ahead of his own. Joe's leadership and professionalism are why the K-9 unit and police department are and will continue to be successful, and just another reason why Officer Joseph Wojcik is being named 2017 Officer of the Year. Congratulations, Joseph. While Joe's parents are presenting him the award, when I called Joe on the phone, and I can tell you, one of my favorite parts of my job is calling these people on the phone and telling them, guess what? You just won this award. So I called Joe. You know what the first words out of my mouth were? His mouth were, my mom is going to be so proud, okay? So when I heard that, I was like, okay, wait a second. Mom is coming up on the stage with us and Dad, and I want him right with us while we give Joe's award. So Thanks, Mom and Dad, for coming up here. We love your son. Joe, congratulations. This is a new award we put in place thanks to Lieutenant Schmittler. His detectives do a fantastic job. They're burdened. We have a tremendous amount of stuff to go on a daily basis, and they do a great job, I can tell you that right now. So every time somebody does something, they know that Jason has to come in, and what he does is he tells me who did what. Detective Killup got his first confession. Detective Killup got a confession on the homicide suspect the other day. Detective Johnson recovered $2 million. Detective Johnson caught everybody ripping off all the old people. Detective Johnson did this. Every day somebody does something, he reports to me, so I know it up here. So the reason I like to know, when I pass him by in the hallway, I want to know who's doing work and who's not. I want to know who I can stop and give my time to, who I'm going to stop and shake their hand and pat them on the back and say, great work, we're proud of you. That's why I need to know these kind of things. So the name that kept coming up in 2017 over and over again, every time I turn around, is Charles Johnson. Talking about a superstar detective. This young man right here, every single day he brings it. He doesn't complain about anything. I can tell you from being a detective myself for 10 years, he's overburdened. His caseload is way too much, and he still accepts everything, never says a word, and continues arresting bad guys. He's an incredible, amazing asset to our police department, and we're proud of you, Charles. Detective Johnson investigates a demanding and technical caseload. He scrutinizes all cases but excels in financial, computer, and forensic cellular examinations. He is thorough, steadfast, determined, and skilled in complex investigations. His work sets the bar for others in the office. Detective Johnson always plays a vital role in our major case investigations. Other detectives and agencies rely on him frequently for his knowledge and expertise. In March 2017, he was assigned to investigate an embezzlement case of an 85-year-old resident who reported his financial advisor for stealing over $240,000. During his thorough investigation, he located another resident who had also had money stolen. Detective Johnson demonstrated exceptional thoroughness, fortitude, and initiative to bring a quick resolution to the victims who lost their savings. Our case was the first to bring the defendant into the courtroom and hold him responsible for bilking elderly township residents receiving immediate attention. Detective Charles Johnson delves further into investigations than most, earning him the 2017 Detective of the Year. Congratulations, Detective Johnson. Well done. Troy runs our traffic unit. This is something that a very high-performing unit I'm very proud of. We have some of our best police officers in there with great attitudes. They do a fantastic job on a daily basis. We have 78,000 people that live in this area, and it's a bedroom community, so most people are going to work every morning and coming back, and we have a very large commute every morning on the way out, and we have a very large commute on the way in. And in fact, just one of our intersections, 23 and Shaner, has 23,000 cars drive through there on a daily basis. So a tremendous amount of traffic. Sergeant Tichnell, handle this. Pick out your best people, get them out there, and I see several of them in their attendance right now. Derek Stansberry, Paul Fox, Scott Phelps, Mark Benedettini. Who am I missing? Is that it? Am I missing any of them or no?
The lights are on.
Okay. No, I'm saying, is that all the... So the bottom line is, these guys do a tremendous job, and so guess what our number one complaint is that we get in the chief's office? Traffic. Speeders. They're speeding in my neighborhood, speeding in my subdivision, and I got news for you. Everybody calls. Board members, friends of board members, friends of police officers, principals, everyone you can imagine is calling and complaining about the traffic. Well, inundated with this stuff, let's get a unit to handle this. I haven't got a call and taken a complaint on traffic since we had that unit up and running, so well done. Congratulations. Now, Sergeant Tichnell, this is very disappointing also because I think he's got like 15 days left and he's retiring after a long time, I think 23 or 25? 29 total years of service in law enforcement. He's retiring, he's leaving us. I've had him in my office with the door closed, and I've literally begged him to stay, okay? I begged him to stay. What can I do for you? I'm ready to retire. So this award that he's getting has nothing to do with him retiring. It has to do with the great service that he provides to our police department and to our residents. So let me get into it. Sergeant Troy Tichnell is a great leader who often steps up to assist details outside of the Traffic Bureau. He has aided the Detective Bureau on numerous occasions, including death investigations, 2 methamphetamine labs, and confidential buys. Sergeant Tichnell is always willing to provide his guidance, leadership, and experience. He was awarded the Medal of Valor from the Michigan Association of Chiefs of Police for rescuing a teenager who had fallen through the ice on a local lake, saving this young man's life. Sergeant Tichnell addresses many citizen complaints with the Traffic Bureau, providing follow-up and delivering high-quality customer service and satisfaction to our residents, which alleviates strain on administration. He also coordinates various events, including Cleanup Day, Shred Day, Click It or Ticket, homecoming parades, the Drunk Driving Grant, and numerous races and fundraisers. Sergeant Tichnell is the utility player who can step up and handle any situation, is being named 2017 Command Officer of the Year. Congratulations, Sergeant Tichnell. Tracy Murray is going to sing God Bless America. This song means a lot to me. I love our national anthem, but for whatever reason, this God Bless America, I love it, and Tracy does a wonderful job with it. So please rise.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, wide with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet